Stop getting distracted. How to stay focused on your goals. At 5:47 a.m., the alarm buzzed beside Ethan's bed, vibrating like a nervous thought he didn't want to face. He reached out, silenced it, and stared at the ceiling. His phone lit up again, this time not an alarm, but a notification. A message, a headline, something urgent, something tempting. He picked it up without thinking. 10 minutes later, he was scrolling. 20 minutes later, he was watching a video he didn't even remember clicking. By the time he finally sat up, the quiet clarity of the morning was gone. Ethan sighed. "I'll start tomorrow," he thought. It was a phrase he knew too well. The illusion of being busy. From the outside, Ethan looked productive. He had lists, apps, reminders, and color-coded calendars. He stayed busy from morning to night. Yet deep down, he knew something was wrong. The goals he'd written down years ago, the book he wanted to write, the business he dreamed of building, the version of himself he imagined, were all still waiting. Untouched, delayed, buried under distraction. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't incapable. He was distracted. And distraction, he would eventually learn, was far more dangerous than failure. Distraction feels harmless. It disguises itself as entertainment, information, connection, or even research. It doesn't scream at you to abandon your goals. It whispers, "Just 5 minutes. You deserve a break." 5 minutes became 5 years. The moment of clarity. The turning point didn't come as a dramatic breakdown or a life-changing event. It came quietly, one evening, as Ethan sat alone at his desk. His laptop was open to a blank document titled, Chapter 1. It had been blank for 3 years. He glanced at the time. 11:38 p.m. "I had the whole day," he muttered. The whole day. He tried to remember what he'd actually done. Emails, messages, news, videos, small tasks that felt urgent but meant nothing. Suddenly, a question surfaced in his mind, simple, uncomfortable, unavoidable. If I keep living like this, where will I be in 5 years? The answer scared him. Same room, same excuses, same unrealized potential. That night, Ethan didn't make a grand promise or a dramatic vow. He made a quiet decision. I'm done letting distraction decide my life. Understanding the real enemy. Most people think the enemy of success is failure, lack of talent, or bad luck. Ethan learned the truth the hard way. The real enemy is unfocused effort. You can work hard and still go nowhere if your attention is scattered. Focus is what turns effort into progress. Without it, even the most ambitious goals dissolve into noise. Ethan began to notice something. His days weren't ruined by big mistakes. They were stolen by small distractions. A quick check of his phone. A harmless scroll. A notification that couldn't wait. Each one pulled him slightly off course, so slightly he didn't notice. But over time, those tiny deviations added up. Distraction doesn't knock down your dreams. It slowly walks them out the back door. The cost of distraction. Once Ethan started paying attention, he saw the cost everywhere. Distraction cost him time, the only resource he could never get back. It cost him clarity, replacing deep thinking with shallow consumption. It cost him confidence, because unfinished goals slowly eroded his belief in himself. It cost him identity, turning him into someone who planned instead of someone who acted. Worst of all, distraction cost him momentum. Every time he switched tasks, his focus shattered. Every time he gave into impulse, discipline weakened. His mind was exhausted, but nothing meaningful was accomplished. He realized something painful but empowering. No one was stealing his focus. He was giving it away. Choosing focus over comfort. Staying focused isn't about willpower alone. Ethan discovered that willpower is unreliable. It fades when you're tired, stressed, or emotional. Focus is about environment, intention, and habits. The next morning, Ethan did something radical, something uncomfortable. He left his phone in another room. The silence was unsettling. His mind felt restless, almost anxious. He kept reaching for a device that wasn't there. Thoughts surfaced he'd been avoiding. Doubts, fear, resistance. But something else surfaced too, clarity. For the first time in months, he worked for an hour straight on his book. No multitasking, no background noise, just him and the page. The words weren't perfect, but they existed, and that changed everything. Focus is a skill, not a personality trait. Ethan used to believe that focused people were just wired differently. That they were naturally disciplined, naturally motivated. That belief had kept him stuck. The truth is simpler, and more hopeful. Focus is a skill you build, not a trait you're born with. Every time you resist a distraction, you strengthen it. Every time you return to your goal, you train your mind. Every time you choose what matters over what's easy, focus grows. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Ethan stopped aiming for flawless days. He aimed for focused blocks. 1 hour. Then another. Then another. Progress followed. Redefining productivity. One of the biggest shifts Ethan made was redefining productivity. Productivity wasn't doing more, staying busy, responding instantly, filling every moment. Productivity was doing what mattered, making progress on meaningful goals, protecting attention like a valuable asset. He learned to ask himself a simple question throughout the day. Is this moving me closer to my goal, or pulling me away from it? Most distractions failed that test. The power of clear goals. Focus dies without clarity. For years, Ethan's goals had been vague. Write someday. Start a business. Get better at life. Vague goals invite distraction because they don't demand action. So he got specific. Not, write a book, but, write 500 words every morning. Not, get fit, but, exercise for 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Not, be successful, but, build something valuable every day. Clear goals gave his focus a direction. Distraction thrives in confusion. Focus thrives in clarity. Learning to be bored again. One of the most surprising lessons Ethan learned was this. Boredom is not the enemy. In fact, boredom is where focus is born. Distraction had trained his brain to crave constant stimulation. Silence felt uncomfortable. Stillness felt wrong. But when he stopped escaping boredom, something amazing happened. Ideas appeared. Solutions surfaced. Motivation returned. The mind, when given space, does its best work. Discipline is self-respect. There were days Ethan failed. Days he scrolled too long. Days he avoided the hard work. But instead of quitting, he learned to reset. He stopped seeing discipline as punishment and started seeing it as self-respect. Every focused session was a vote for the person he wanted to become. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, that person began to emerge. The compound effect of focus. Weeks turned into months. Pages turned into chapters. Ideas turned into plans. Plans turned into action. Nothing changed overnight. Everything changed gradually. That's the power of focus, it compounds. One focused hour a day can transform a life over time. One protected goal can redefine your future. One decision to stop getting distracted can change everything. Becoming the person who finishes. One evening, Ethan looked at his screen again. This time, the document wasn't blank. It was full. He smiled, not because the work was done, but because he had become someone who finished. And that mattered more than any outcome. The quiet victory focus doesn't come with applause. No one congratulates you for ignoring distractions. No one sees the moments you choose discipline over comfort. But those invisible choices shape visible results. Ethan didn't become extraordinary overnight. He simply stopped letting distraction control his life. And in doing so, he reclaimed his time, his goals, and himself. Final thought: you don't need more motivation. You don't need more time. You don't need a perfect plan. You need focus. And focus begins with a single decision. Stop getting distracted. Start choosing what matters.